Welcome, listeners, to another episode of Voices of Progress, the podcast where history meets the present to inspire the future. As the beats of change sound in the background, we're here to dive into the heart of social justice and equality.
Today we're crossing over the gap between eras, exploring the similarities and differences between the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s and today's Black Lives Matter movement. We'll uncover the stories of resilience and freedom that still resonate in our collective struggle for justice.
The arc of moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "These words have continued to repeat through the decades, a call to action that has never lost its urgency. In the streets of Ferguson, Baltimore, and cities across the globe, a new generation raises its voice, making sure that the Black Lives Matter is more than a moment, it's a movement."
Now let's set the stage for our discussion. We'll be examining the origins of both movements, the key figures who have stood at the lead of change, and the strategies that have shaped their mission for equality. We'll also look at the societal and political responses to these movements, the progress made, and the challenges that have stayed.
Joining us today are Patricia Norris, also known as Kari's grandmother. Together, we'll navigate the problems of activism and the ongoing fight against racism inside of the system.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome to our podcast, Voices of Progress. And how are you today?
I'm doing just fine.
Well, let me not get past myself. What is your name?
Patricia Ann Norris.
And for our listeners, this is my grandmother who was alive during the Civil Rights Movement. And today we'll be asking her questions about that and how it kind of correlates to the Black Lives Matter movement today. So our first question is, what do you remember about the Civil Rights Movement?
We had to stick together and, a lot of black kids had to stick together and stuff because it could get a little bit violent sometimes. But I never was involved in the movement like that, marching and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But we had some problems at Cass for a while with the Caucasian kids, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I could believe.
In fact, most of the black kids stuck together, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
More or less. Mm-hmm. But I had a lot of Caucasian friends. Mm-hmm.
Do you mind me asking, what effect did the Civil Rights Movement have on your life?
It really didn't have no effect on my life because I went on and finished Cass and went on to took on computer classes and stuff like that. So I got to be an analyst when I got out of all my computer classes and stuff. Then I applied for a job at Blue Cross, and then I got the job at Blue Cross, and that's where I stayed until I retired. I did 41 years at Blue Cross, yeah.
But also, didn't the effect of the Civil Rights Movement also open up opportunities to you, and also kind of?
It probably did because very few blacks could get it cast back then. We had to take a test.
Yeah.
And I passed that. I was a nervous wreck until I got the papers that I had passed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I had to take 2 buses every day to get to school. Whew, that was a challenge. About being young back then, I had to walk all the way from where we lived on Bethune to 12th. You had to walk all the way up to the boulevard at 12th. Get on the bus, and go to Cass, and come back, get back on the bus, come back home, 2 more buses. But I was never late.
Yep. So, how do you believe the goals and strategies the Civil Rights Movement is different from the Black Lives Matter movement that's going on today? How do you think the strategies and the goals are different?
I think our goals was towards the same thing, but now it was more of a struggle back then, because Caucasian people so racist.
Yeah.
But as time went on, I guess the white people started seeing that we're going to have that black power thing, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So then people started getting not being so racist, outright racist, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. Our next question would be, why do you think the Black Lives Matter movement has gained popularity in recent years compared to the Civil Rights Movement?
You know what? I have wondered about that myself. I was going to talk to Andre about that. What kind of brought that back into nowadays?
Well, it's really because of people believe, also me and my partner on the Voices of Progress believe that due to more violence and police brutality with the death on Trayvon Martin and some other individuals, George Floyd and some others. We believe that the popularity has skyrocketed over recent deaths in the Black community. Thank you for your wisdom and knowledge on this day, and that will conclude this segment of our podcast.
Okay, thank you.
Goodbye.
So, listeners, as we prepare to dive into this rich and necessary conversation, let's reflect on the words of another giant, James Baldwin. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced.
And now let's turn to our first major talking point: the striking similarities between the civil rights movement of the past and the Black Lives Matter movement of today.
We find that the grassroots activism has always been the root of social change. The civil rights movement was built on the foundation of community organization, where individuals came together, often at a great personal risk, to challenge normality. This is mirrored in the Black Lives Matter movement, where local chapters and activists are set off communities to address systemic issues. This sentiment rings true even now, as modern activists harness the power of multimedia to communicate, educate, and unite. Yet, with visibility comes backlash. The civil rights movement faced significant opposition, with figures like Malcolm X being heavily criticized for their bold stances. Fast forward to the present, and activists within Black Lives Matter movement face similar pushback, often being misrepresented or met with resistance from various characters of society. Let's not forget that the journey toward equality is ongoing. The baton has been passed, and the race continues.
As we move forward, let's dive into the differences that distinguish the civil rights movement of the 1960s from today's Black Lives Matter movement. The focus of the movements, while rooted in a common goal of racial equality, diverges in its specifics. The civil rights movement surrounds a broader range of issues, including segregation, voting rights, and economic inequality. It demanded to take apart the Jim Crow laws that enforced racial segregation in the southern United States. In comparison, the Black Lives Matter movement focuses on the issues of police brutality. It was sparked by the clearing of Trayvon Martin's shooter in 2013 and gained momentum with the deaths of Michael Brown in Ferguson and Eric Garner in New York City. The hashtag Black Lives Matter became a cry for a new generation demanding an end to systematic racism, particularly in law enforcement. The leadership structure of the two movements also differ. The civil rights movement had prominent figures like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and Malcolm X, who became identical with the fight for civil rights. These leaders were the central points around which the movement rallied. On the other hand, the Black Lives Matter movement operates with a more decentralized leadership model. A collective effort with multiple leaders and a multitude of voices contributing to the cause. This lack of a single leader has both challenges and strengths, allowing for a diverse range of perspectives and tactics. And we can't discuss the Black Lives Matter movement without acknowledging the role of technology. Social media has been a game changer, allowing the real-time broadcast of protests and incidents of police brutality. This has created a sense of urgency that was not possible in the 1960s. In my opinion, this internet bond has made the movement more accessible, allowing for a global conversation about race and justice. It has also made the movement more resilient to attempts at disruption or co-opting by any single entity.
I want to thank our audience for joining us and engaging in this important conversation. Your presence and participation make discussions like these all the more meaningful. Until next time, keep listening, keep questioning, and keep striving for justice and equality. Goodbye for now, and thank you for tuning in.
On our next episode, we will be talking about the LGBTQ movement from the 60s and 70s to the LGBTQ movement now. Well, that's it. Hope you learned something today. Bye.
We shall not be moved. We shall not.